From New York City, Joan Rivers.
I almost tripped on one of my cables. I could have sued myself. Anyhow, coming up, and I'd win. Coming up direct from New York City, she began her career at 14 singing in malls, and now she's all grown up. And at 19, she shows no sign of stopping, except she's out of those malls. Who are we talking about? Tiffany! New vampire on Dark Shadows, a man who anyone would enjoy playing Tooth of Consequences with. It's Friday. Actor Ben Cross. Fascinating subject about women who thought they could never get pregnant. We have now found several ways that are brand new, and they can. It's all coming up, but not right here. It's all coming up. That would really be good for us. Along with lots more, so stay right where you are, okay? Okay. Thousands of years, there was only one way to make a baby, and it either worked or it didn't work. And if it didn't, that's it. You just didn't do that much about it. Well, all this has changed, and according to my next guest, it is now possible for almost anybody to have their own genetic baby. In his new book called How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology, he tells us what works and what doesn't work. Please welcome Dr. Sherman Silber. And how nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I don't know what it is that so many couples say that just can't seem to get pregnant. Is it because they talk about it more, or...
No, we really have an infertility epidemic.
Yes.
It really, if you're in your mid-30s and suddenly you finally finished your career plan so that you're where you want to be and now you want to have a child, at that age there's a 25% chance you won't be able to have a child. 25%.
So it's not just my imagination that you go to a party and there's always a couple saying, we're trying.
Right, and teenagers only have a 1% risk of infertility. So from age 16 to age 35, there's a 25-fold decline in your fertility. That's the tragedy.
They're talking about women now?
Well, it's mostly women-related. Men undergo a slight decrease in sperm count, but it doesn't really affect the pregnancy rate.
Now let's get right to it, and then we'll double back.
All right.
You say there's new technology that's going to change everything we've been doing up to now. What is the new technology? New technology
is actually a matter of getting the eggs through a needle so that it really is painless, without surgery, right from the wife, getting the eggs, getting the sperm, washing the eggs and the sperm with laboratory culture media. It sounds very high-tech, but actually the methods are very simple. And then the sperm and the eggs can be fertilized in a test tube in an incubator and placed back in the wife, or you don't even have to fertilize them first. If she has good fallopian tubes, you can just take the washed sperm and the washed eggs, put them right in the fallopian tube, and the chance of her getting pregnant just with that one procedure can be as high as 40 to 60% per attempt, even in couples that have been trying for 10 years unsuccessfully to get pregnant naturally.
So if this method is known, this is not like the first time that anyone's ever mentioned this method.
Right.
Why aren't all these couples doing this? Why aren't all the doctors saying, let's do this?
Well, you know, the problem is that typically a couple will go to a gynecologist and go through years of conventional treatment. Now, conventional treatment can mean a laparoscopy, looking inside the abdomen. It can mean surgery for endometriosis. It can mean the wife going on Clomid for years, or the husband having a varicocelectomy, an operation to tie off a all kinds of conventional methodologies that really have a very low effect effectiveness rate.
Then why are doctors continuing to prescribe this? This is exactly what's going on. I've heard all these terms used by my friends.
Right, these are the old-fashioned approaches that everybody's using. The new technology, which began in 1978 with Steptoe and Edwards and the first test tube baby, at one time had a very low success rate. And since around 1986, it has been simplified and refined to the point where if you're willing to persist, almost everybody gets pregnant eventually. It may be anywhere from a 15% to a 60% pregnancy rate per cycle. But if you're willing to just come back and do it again, sooner or later, most couples, or almost all couples, will be able to get pregnant.
Now, aren't there 3 new ways? You just mentioned that was in vitro was the first.
Yeah, these are all variations of the same thing.
The same thing.
Yeah, in vitro means you take the sperm and the eggs.
And they do it outside.
Outside, in a test tube, and then you put that embryo 2 days later into the woman's uterus.
Right.
No surgery.
Then there's one called ZIFT, Z-I-F-T.
Right. ZIFT means the same as in vitro, except instead of putting the embryo in the uterus, you put it in her fallopian tube.
Right.
Now that's more natural. It involves a minor operation, but the pregnancy rate is about 3 times higher per attempt.
So why does everyone just, and the third is GIFT.
GIFT. And GIFT is really the easiest, and GIFT means you don't even bother fertilizing it outside of the body. You take the sperm and the eggs, you put them in the fallopian tube, and the pregnancy rate with GIFT is just as high as it is with ZIFT.
So then why isn't everyone doing GIFT and ZIFT? Why are we doing... I mean, this is it, and the pregnancy rate is so high. Why are all these other people not just say, give me ZIFT, give me GIFT?
Well,
you know,
right, exactly.
Doc.
You know, it sounds so funny because we think of getting pregnant in such a natural way, but it's a real tragedy that throughout the world, India, Russia, China, the U.S., wherever you look, people are in the 30s aren't getting pregnant naturally. So why is in vitro fertilization more popular? Well, it's a good technique, and it doesn't involve any surgery whatsoever. That's the advantage.
What ZIFT and GIFT do?
ZIFT and GIFT do.
Does insurance cover these?
Well, it depends on how clever you are. Now,
and how rotten the companies are.
The companies
Pick
are
a
a
finger.
real pain in the neck.
Oh.
They are really awful. The actual cost of all the conventional methodologies, you could go through 5, 6, 10 years of multiple operations and years of these pills, and it would wind up costing you 3 times what in vitro fertilization or GIFT or ZIFT would cost. And the insurance companies pay for it because the doctors will give a pathological diagnosis.
How does a couple know that they're not having good medical care? Do they just have to go to you in St. Louis or New York? Or, I mean, how do you find a good doctor that's going to understand what's going on in this book?
Good medical care is available in every region in the U.S., but when I was on a government advisory panel from U.S. Congress 3 years ago, and when we investigated it then, out of 150 clinics, only half had ever had a single pregnancy, really. So there's obviously a lot of places doing business that aren't really that good. But you can't ever rely on a list. You've got to learn about it and understand what's going on. And as an informed consumer, you can figure out who's going to do a good job and who won't.
Well, the first way to do it is to read the book, How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology. Thank you so very much. It's terrific.
From New York, it's Joan Rivers.
Direct from New York City, the city that is loved by good-hearted Americans, visited by surly French, and owned by rich Japanese. We have... I wrote that at 6 this morning. I said, this is... Lawsuit, lawsuit. I can't remember. What's your name? I don't know. He was hit on the head by a bracelet. He's never been the same. He turned gay. This is the same stupid bracelet that's done it before, not from the Joan Rivers collection. And now, not from the collection. And now, on to a wonderful day. They have different names. We have a great show for you. They have different names, the same genes, and they are one of Hollywood's hottest father and son acting teams today. Martin Sheen and his son, Ramon Estevez. Continuing on our week-long series about renewing your wedding vows, today we have a couple who are married for 50 years and they want to do it all over again. Isn't that nice? Plus, in living colors, bright new comic talent, Tommy Davidson. An exciting first for television. Listen to this. A doctor who is going to work with our show over the next few months to select and actually help to infertile couples to have babies on their own. Isn't that wonderful? It's such a nice thing to do. And it is all coming up along with lots more, so stay right where you are, okay? Okay. I don't know how many of you know this, but there are more than 2 to 3 million American couples out there that are infertile. Can you believe that? I mean, the last time we had my guest on, he was talking about infertility, and we received floods of phone calls and letters asking for help and for information. So we said, why not bring him back? So back by popular demand, and we mean it, please welcome the world-renowned infertility expert and author of the book, How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology, Dr. Sherman Silber. And how nice to have you on, Dr. First of all, I asked this during the commercial break, and just applaud how many women out there, or men, you know, how many couples have had trouble becoming pregnant?
Amazing.
Amazing. Why is this? In my day, you know, you were in college, you got in the backseat of a Chevy, and unfortunately, you had to call your mother and cry.
Right.
I mean,
it was the wrong time of the month.
Time.
And
guess
still,
what?
Right.
What's happened?
What's happened is, first place, human beings are really very infertile. Reproductively, we are very inefficient. If a human male's testicle would look like an animal's testicle ground up and thrown back in. It's so chaotic if you look at it microscopically. And so humans make the lowest amount of sperm per body weight of any animal in the animal kingdom. And human females are similarly very inefficient. Now, when we're teenagers, despite this inefficiency, things work well.
Right.
But when you get into your 20s, there's in your early 20s a 10% chance of infertility, in your late 20s 16%, and by the time you're in your mid-30s, there is a 25% chance that you can't get pregnant.
The normal way.
The normal way, right.
So now, what do we do?
Well, we have a new technology. In the past, couples would go through years and years of just terrible treatment, painful treatment, pills that didn't work, all kinds of multiple laparoscopies, operations to remove endometriosis lesions, and pills for years that would literally put them in an artificial menopause to try to shrink down the endometriosis. The men would go through operations that now we know don't work, and after all this treatment, some of them did get pregnant, but there were large numbers after 10 years of treatment find themselves 39 years old, 40 years old, and unable to get pregnant.
So now there's a whole quick way. I hate the term quick way,
yeah.
But there's a much quicker method. For example,
right? There are three ways: in vitro fertilization,
which means
gift and zift.
Okay.
Now, in vitro fertilization means that you take the woman's eggs and you take the husband's sperm and you put them together in a laboratory culture media in an incubator, and lo and behold, 2 days later, you've got healthy fertilized eggs,
Always?
embryos. Well, in the majority of cases, you get fertilization. When you don't get fertilization, there are things you can do to make it easier for the eggs and the sperm to fertilize. But most of the time, we get fertilization. Then you take the fertilized eggs, you put them back in the woman, and then she has about anywhere from a 15 to 30% chance of getting pregnant from that cycle. And it's painless, so you can do it over and over and over again until she does get pregnant.
Right.
Now, GIFT is an improvement in many respects. 95% of these patients have normal fallopian tubes. With GIFT, you just take the sperm and the egg in the same way. I'm oversimplifying it, believe me.
Please.
You're processing this.
Yeah, but I'm very dumb, so just oversimplify to the point where you think she's a moron. Go ahead.
Okay, you take the sperm and the eggs, you put them in the fallopian tube, and they fertilize on their own, and she becomes pregnant that way. And then there's a 45 to 60% chance of her getting pregnant. And again, you can do it over and over again until she finally is pregnant.
And then there's a third way.
ZIFT is where if you're not 100% sure that those sperm and eggs are going to get together, you do the in vitro fertilization first. But instead of putting them in the uterus, you put them in the fallopian tube, because that's a more natural environment. That's where nature normally accomplishes fertilization. And again, the pregnancy rate is about 50 to 60% per attempt if you use the ZIFT.
But it's always using the husband and the wife's sperm and egg, or do you ever have to go away if I say the husband doesn't have sperm, so we'll get somebody else?
If the husband has, really, most of the time the husband might, if the husband has a problem, he'll have a very low count. And despite really minute quantities of sperm, with this technique you can fertilize her eggs, because you don't need much sperm. But if he has zero sperm, well, they might be willing to have donor sperm used.
So why, all these people that applauded, why aren't they doing this? Why isn't everybody doing this? Why are they waiting 10 years and blowing the tubes out and doing all this other stuff when these three things are so...
Well, because as recently as 5 years ago, these three things weren't so good. They were too complex. The technology hadn't been worked out. The culture media had toxic ingredients in it. Things weren't worked out that well. So it was a last resort, last-ditch effort. And we really didn't have good treatment 5 years ago for infertility. But in the last several years, this technology has gotten so good, the pregnancy rate so high that almost anybody can get pregnant, and we should push these techniques earlier. Right away, rather than waiting after time has run out.
I mean, if you want something, you should do it.
Why wait, right.
How much does this cost?
Well, generally it'll be anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 per cycle. It is
cycle?
Per cycle.
So each try?
Each try, if it takes an average of 3 tries for the average couple to be pregnant, that could add up to $24,000.
Yeah. So that's what, and insurance doesn't or does pay for this?
Well, insurance pays for most of the treatments that have been done in the past for infertility. Ironically, if you ask insurance companies, they'll say, well, we don't pay for this new technology. It's experimental. But it isn't experimental, and if the doctors and the clinics handle the insurance companies properly, often we can get them to pay.
And a woman could be any age, you told me, because I was thinking of doing it.
Any age.
Any age. No. Even after menopause, right?
Well, after menopause.
Not that it has to apply to me.
You're right.
But if I have a friend, I'm asking for a friend.
For a friend.
I have a friend that wants to know.
Well, for any friend over 30 or over 50.
God bless you, doctor.
At any age, really, can get pregnant with this.
Tease. Is there any pain at all involved?
Well, you know, there is a little bit of pain. There's no medical treatment, even getting your blood drawn, but it is relatively painless compared to all of the other routine treatments that most of these couples have gone through for many years already.
But what I want to say now is, because I don't know, I think anyone that has a child out there, the best thing in the world is to have a child. I mean, my high point in my life was and still is Melissa. So we were thinking, what could we do? Because, you know, we've given away silly things, plastic surgery, we've given, you know, dates and stuff. I was thinking, if there are two couples out there, what I would like to do, if there are two couples out there, we have asked Dr. Silber to answer all your, well, I want all of you, let me start this way. I want all of you, if you have any questions on infertility, please write in. Dr. Silber will be kind enough to answer your questions personally on the air for the next couple of weeks, about 8. Send us a video cassette also, introducing yourself and telling us what are your problems and what you would like to know. And please be specific as possible, because the more the doctor knows about you, the better he can answer your infertility questions. And then make sure you include your name and your address and your phone number on your tape, because Dr. Silber
Silber may want to review all the cassettes, and then we decided he would meet with several couples, this is so nice of you, doctor, to discuss their medical histories and the methods that might be best for them, and then, which is so great, I mean, I don't think anybody's ever done this before, he is going to not choose, but I guess find the two most logical couples, and you're going to give them the treatment free.
We'll give them the treatment free,
and
right.
maybe, wouldn't that be nice to give them 2 babies? What's your name? Your first name?
Sherman.
Sherman. So Sherman could be if it's a boy and Joan if it's a girl. That would be that's the only catch.
Well, Joan might work. There are
Joan and Sherman.
thousands of couples have told me they were going to name their child Sherman, and no one has ever done it.
Well, if there are people out there that wanted to speak to the doctor, and maybe, you're not chosen, it's not a contest, but maybe one of the 2 couples that we will help, please send your cassettes to the GIFT of Life, the Joan Rivers Show, 524 West 52nd Street, New York, 10019. Okay, and in the weeks to come, you'll come back and we'll look at things on video and help us find out why you're selecting the 2 couples you're selecting.
Exactly.
And then if they got pregnant, wouldn't that be great? And then we could have the birth on the show. That'd be so great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with, in living colors, Tommy Davidson. City. If it's hot, she's got it. The New York Post queen of gossip, Cindy Adams, with the latest dish on the Kennedys, the Reagans. I know a lot's been happening. The Trumps, and what about Merv Griffin, huh? All right. And what a week for newspapers. My eyes are black and blue from reading. Remington Steele's Stephanie Zimbalist, Matlock's Linda Pearl, and a look at some of the tapes that have been coming in on infertility, because we know we have a thing where we're going to give 2 women, look how you know, the one man in the audience, yeah, I know, but 2 women a chance to really go and see if they can have babies the right way in St. Louis. Well, not the right way, but hey, it's all, because there is only one right way. Anyhow, it's all coming up, so stay right where you are, okay? Okay. Millions of people know the joys of having a baby, the thrill of watching them take their first step, of saying the first words. But unfortunately, some couples, for them, this experience will never happen. So as you know, we wanted to help as much as we could. And last February, we joined forces with Dr. Sherman Silber and St. Luke's Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. And we asked our viewers to send in video cassettes telling us about their infertility problems and questions they had. The response to our GIFT, a Gift of Life offer, has been overwhelming. Today begins the countdown to picking the 2 couples out of so many that sent videos that will be chosen to work with Dr. Silber and with the hospital. And let's welcome our resident fertility expert, the author of How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology, Dr. Sherman Silber. And nice to have you back. How are you going to pick which 2 of the couples? We've had over 900 tapes already come in.
Right. Well, we're going to look at all the videotapes very carefully, and the more information that they send about their problem, the easier it's going to be to really help them, to analyze their problem. So that will help. I would like to really make it clear that our goal in this is not only to help those 2 couples, but to help, there are literally 4 million couples in this country alone.
Let me show you some of the tapes. Okay. Here's from our first couple. They're John and Beverly Thomas. They're from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They've been married 11 years, and they've tried to conceive for 10. Okay, and let's see what they said in their tape.
Both of us have gone through various procedures. I've had a laparoscopy, and the tests with the dye through the tubes. Both of those have come back negative. John's had a varicocelectomy, and he's also been on Clomid. Nothing has really helped us so far. It seems like what we're dealing with right now is a low sperm count.
Low sperm count.
And from every indication, it doesn't seem like we have many options available to us.
Okay, low sperm count.
Right.
What can you do about it? You can do something. You've got even one little guy in there, right?
One sperm is really all you need.
Yeah.
This couple, it's very sad. They said after spending all this money, they feel like they still haven't gotten anywhere because of this low sperm count. Now, we know their sperm count has been about 14 to 20 million per cc. And that may be classically, in old-fashioned terms, considered low. But now we know that that is perfectly adequate for conceiving.
So,
And he's already gone through surgery.
so where do they just have to go to the right doctors? Is that the whole trick here?
I think that's the whole trick. And not only to go to the right doctors, but themselves to read enough to be informed, to listen to your show,
Right.
but seriously, to learn enough about it, because if they were really informed, they would know that 14 million is not too low a count to get pregnant with the proper treatment.
Let me ask you very basically, the can be done already. Why is it that every kid that doesn't want to become pregnant becomes pregnant?
Well, you know, it's...
Say it fast.
Okay, 18-year-olds have an infertility rate of less than 1%.
So it's time.
35-year-olds have a 25% infertility rate.
Gotcha. We'll be right back. Coming up from the hit series Beverly Hills 90210, Jason Priestley. Celebrity kid stars of the new action movie Toy Soldiers, Sean Astin and Keith Coogan. And the only thing that would get me here on Monday mornings, gossip, 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 with the lowdown on Madonna's new movie, Truth or Dare. It's all coming up along with lots more, so stay right where you are. As I think most of you know at this point, we are looking for two couples to work with Dr. Sherman Silber and St. Luke's Hospital, Missouri, through the fertility process. Hopefully they will conceive a child. That's what we're hoping for. And we have received thousands of letters and tapes. And we want to send each person that writes to us and sends a tape, we're going to send them one of Dr. Silber's books called How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology, okay? And I'd like to read you a little bit of the letters are wonderful that come with the tapes. I'm sure you've been seeing them, Doctor. This is a letter from Karen and Barry Nedrin of San Diego, California, and they said, which came with that tape, thank you for the opportunity to share our infertility problem with Dr. Silber, and also for helping to make infertility and the pain and emptiness that follows a little easier to talk about. The more the public understands, the easier it will be to explain to our friends and families that our inability to have children is not our fault, which I think also is so unfair. So when are you going to have a kid? And they want to say, oh, we want to have a kid. Is there one common problem that you've been seeing in all the tapes, Doctor?
Well, there are several. One of the biggest problems is couples are worried about the money that it's going to cost and insurance coverage, because they've already spent, or their insurance companies may have spent $20,000 or $30,000 on procedures that aren't very effective, old-fashioned conventional approaches. And when it comes to the in vitro fertilization or gift, which is going to work, very often the insurance companies say, no, we won't pay for that.
Do you think that can be changed?
I know it can be changed. In fact, in the states of Massachusetts and Maryland and several other states, consumer groups have lobbied and have gotten laws passed that require it. If they're going to pay for hemorrhoids and hernia operations, they must pay also for infertility.
Which is only fair.
And the joke is the insurance companies are stupid because they would save money.
Well, we know that.
They are. They just put up columns of numbers, and they're really dumb. If they looked at it from a point of view other than simple columns of numbers, they realize they'd be saving literally billions of dollars by paying for this.
They're bringing more people into the world that can buy insurance. Think about that. Let's go to some of the tapes. Our first tape today is from Jane, and I hope I pronounced the names right because that's not my forte, Weissop from St. Paul, Minnesota, right? She is 33 years old, and here's her question. From St. Paul, Minnesota, right? She is 33 years old, and here's her question. From St. Paul, Minnesota, right? She's 33 years old.
Disease, endometriosis, anything like that. And I'm wondering, you know, if there's any kind of research being done about ectopic pregnancies, why they happen.
We didn't get the sound too well in the studio. Right. She was asking, though, I believe, about ectopic, which I had. I had 2 ectopic pregnancies.
Is that right?
Are they very common? That's when it's in the... Go ahead, explain.
Yeah, ectopic, I saw the whole tape and listened to what she said. Ectopic pregnancy simply means, so people out there will know, that normally when you get pregnant, it occurs in the fallopian tube, not in the womb, not in the uterus. The sperm travel all the way up into the fallopian tube, and the egg is picked up by the fallopian tube, and that's where fertilization occurs. And we all spent the first 3 or 4 days of our life in our mother's fallopian tube, and then we get transferred to the uterus when the time is right. And if there is the slightest little imperfection or problem in the fallopian tube, then the embryo stays there, and it grows there. The fallopian tube explodes if you leave it too long, and you lose your tube.
Yeah.
And it usually occurs because of a little scar tissue in the fallopian tube. And nowadays, most of the time, we can catch it early enough with ultrasound that we can just go in, remove that embryo, which is destined to die anyway, and save the fallopian tube. That obviously didn't happen to you, no. I'm sorry to say, and it didn't happen to that lady.
When they have one atopic pregnancy, though, my doctor told me, and indeed it was so, that your chances to have another one are very, very high. Is that so? They're
20%. In other words, the general incidence is 0.5% in the population. If you have one, the chances of having it again after they save the tube is 20%. So you still have a very good chance of a normal baby. Now, she's already lost both of her tubes. That's what frequently happens. We can still get her pregnant with in vitro fertilization, no problem.
Okay, next, another tape we have is from Donna Vick. She's 31 years old. She's been married for 7 years. She's from Wilson, North Carolina, and here's what she's asking you.
What can couples do to relieve the enormous pressure they put them on themselves while trying to conceive?
What can you do about stress?
Boy, stress is a tremendous problem. The emotions people feel are enormous, and you have to, the only thing that works is not to tell yourself to relax. It's like an insomniac saying, I've got to go to sleep.
Right.
And if you learn about the subject, don't stop asking questions, read as much as you can, you begin to become more familiar with the body, and I found that's what relieves the stress.
Easy. It's so easy to say.
Yeah, sure.
Don't feel any stress. I don't feel any more stress.
If I were to condescendingly say, oh, well, don't worry, don't feel stressed, just learn about yourself, that would be met with a lot of anger.
It's tough.
I don't mean that.
Oh, I know that you don't mean that, but it's so hard to do.
But it's very tough. The emotions are enormous.
Now comes our third tape that we're going to show you today. This is from Shayna Carney, and she's from Hermitage, Missouri. She's only 24 years old. Here's what she's asking you.
I've had all the tests ran with all coming back good. 2 years ago, we tried the GIFT program with no success. 6 months ago, I went to see another doctor, and he advised me to do the IVF program. On your program, the doctor mentioned the ZIFT program. We want to do the IVF this year, but my question is if we should try the ZIFT. Is there much difference between the ZIFT and the IVF program?
Well, now, her question demonstrates that there's a lot of funny words. ZIFT, GIFT, IVF, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
And in vitro fertilization, IVF, means sperm and eggs are fertilized in a test tube and put in the uterus.
Okay.
GIFT means sperm and eggs are put in the fallopian tube without being fertilized outside of the body, just like nature would normally do it. And ZIFT is kind of a hybrid of that. ZIFT means sperm and eggs are fertilized outside of the body. You make sure they can fertilize. It's like a test.
So why not just go right to that to begin with?
Well, that's what I'm suggesting.
You know what I'm saying? Why not miss it? As long as it's her egg and his sperm, who cares if they meet in a petri dish?
Right. Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Actually, it's pretty romantic because there's no distraction in a petri dish. You know?
Put a petri dish with a candle next to it. I mean, it's like. You'll be back with more, and it's still not too late to send in your video cassettes, okay? Because we have until May 1st, so please send in your questions and your medical history to The Gift of Life Care, The Joan Rivers Show, 524 West 57th Street, New York, New York, 10019. And I hope each and every one of you that's writing out there won't have any stress, and you all end up with a wonderful, happy, healthy baby. We'll be right back with Toy Soldiers. A transsexual trucker, plus All My Children, Jean Leclerc, and the latest soap opera, Gossip, 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 from the editor of Soap Opera Weekly. It's all coming up, along with lots more, so stay right where you are, okay? Okay. Done by Eric Padilla, and thank you very much. Now, on to the next. Recently, we spoke with our resident expert on infertility, Dr. Sherman Silber of St. Luke's Hospital, Missouri. He's been answering, as you know, our viewers' questions on infertility and for our Gift of Life program. He's also the author of this wonderful book, How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology, and here's what he had to say. We've been getting so many letters, and people say, yes, yes, it's great. You say, go to an expert in this field. What happens if there's no expert in a person's area on infertility?
That's often the case, and they must be willing to travel to go to the best expert, even if it's 100 or 200 miles or halfway across the country, because there are certain people that just really have the technology and the ability to do it. They should be willing to travel.
So how do you know who's an expert? Because every gynecologist now is saying, I know about infertility, and I know about... How do you know how to find an expert?
I think you got to ask them several questions. You got to know how many cases do you actually do, and can you do the new technology, the gift or in vitro fertilization or microsurgery? And you got to ask them, what is your success rate? Not some general national average. What is your success rate? And how many babies do you actually have born out of the number of cases that you do a year? What are your percentages? Look in their eyes.
It's babies that are actually born. That's what it comes down to.
Right. You look in your eyes to see whether it's an honest answer or just sort of an abstraction, and they're looking for an answer.
Now, we want to show you, again, some tapes that viewers have sent in, and then we'll ask you questions. This first is from a couple from Bellevue, Illinois, and they are Ricardo and Maria, now let me say it right, Iriarte, right? And
okay,
please watch that tape and see what they are asking you.
Gotten pregnant 4 times, and they were all miscarriages. I recently had a laparoscopy, and it determined that I have endometriosis. My doctor says the cure to endometriosis is a hysterectomy.
Is that so? Is that the cure to endometriosis?
First place, the cure is not hysterectomy, and we have gone through this tape as you have in detail, and she is expecting to have a hysterectomy, that is her uterus out, May 8th, and I hope she's listening and that she's not going to have that done, because she wants to have a baby, and if you have your uterus out, then with all the technology in the world, you're not going to have a baby. No, that's not the cure at all.
So what is the cure for it?
And endometriosis is an overused term, actually. Now, that lady, you remember from her tape, even before those miscarriages, she had gotten pregnant once before, had her tubes tied, and we know that she's capable of getting pregnant. And so she doesn't have anything interfering with her pregnancy other than the age-related decline in fertility. So she doesn't even have endometriosis. I'm virtually certain that that is an overused term, and she doesn't even have it.
So she should look further before, because once you have a hysterectomy, you shut the door.
It's over, and I'd be very strong that she needs to get a second opinion very, very clearly before someone operates on her.
Okay. Next, this is from Jay and Lynette Sorensen, and then from Sandy, Utah, and let's watch what their tape has to say.
I mentioned before that my cervix is different, and this is also causing a problem with the artificial insemination because they can't get the syringe all the way through the cervix. They just put it as far as it can go, which is, I guess, they describe about a third to a halfway through, or maybe 2/3, I can't remember. But if that could be a problem of maybe why I'm not getting pregnant.
Now, she's saying what, her cervix is not tipped the right way.
Or she's saying that it's bent, or she thinks that for some reason they can't get the catheter into the uterus when they want to put the sperm in it, and is that in some way the cause of her infertility? This is a long tape from a lovely couple, and they had some very emotional things to say. They were just wonderful people, and they really appreciated this help. And they reveal a lot of the myths that are, if you can menstruate out of the cervix, then, and the blood can come out once a month, which obviously is the case, then certainly the sperm can get in just as easily. So a curve in her cervix is not causing her infertility, it's just making it tricky for her doctor to get the catheter in. Now the way to get it in is you just have to bend the catheter in the right angle, which ultrasound will show the angle her cervix goes in, and then it just slips in without any difficulty whatsoever.
So perhaps she's going to a doctor who doesn't know these techniques.
That's exactly what she's doing.
So a lot of women out there have to get better advice from more sophisticated doctors.
Right, which relates to your first question. You may have to travel, but you got to find the right doctor.
The right doctor, okay. And finally, the third is from Carlsbad, California, and it's Barry and Karen Nietzsche. And let's look at their tape.
Hi to us. I would like to know what your feeling is about Delcon Shield patients who have tests that come out normal, and if you would recommend IVF immediately, or if you would also recommend that we stay on Pergonal or Pergonal and Lupron before jumping off into IVF or gift.
First of all, what is a Delcon Shield?
Well, it's an IUD, an intrauterine device that went out, it was taken off the market around 1973 because it caused a lot of infections in a certain percentage of women, and it made them sterile by blocking off their tubes. And now there are very few IUDs in the market anyway, but this was a particularly worrisome one.
What can she do?
Well,
What's the best for her to take?
She is lucky because her tests were normal. If the Delcon Shield has not resulted in any damage to the tubes, then her x-rays are going to be normal. Her x-rays, her laparoscopy was normal. She didn't get an infection. The vast majority of women that have had an IUD and or a Delcon Shield had no trouble caused by it. So she does not need to go to IVF. She needs either standard treatment or, you know my philosophy on that.
Go right to it. Don't fool around. Get that sperm, get that egg, fertilize in that petri dish, and let's get going. Is that it?
That's exactly right. But put it in the fallopian tubes rather than the uterus, because her implantation or pregnancy rate is so much higher if the fallopian tubes are normal. And she was worried they might have been messed up by the Delcon Shield, and they haven't been.
But again, shouldn't her doctor know this?
Yes.
I can't wait to get the two patients and start working with you on this. It's going to be so exciting. And the week of May 13th, we are going to announce the names of the two couples who will work with Dr. Silber and St. Luke's Hospital through the fertility process. So please don't miss the excitement. And the rest of the couples we're helping also by sending them tips and advice. So nobody wrote in that isn't going to get some kind of help. And we'll be right back. And thank you, Dr. Baby. Thank you. Who have given birth to dwarf children. So stay right where you are, okay? Okay. We spoke with our fertility expert, Dr. Sherman Silbert of St. Luke's Hospital, Missouri. This is our last week for our Gift of Life program. Next week, we will be announcing the two couples that will be working with Dr. Silber to have a baby. So let's go right to our viewers' questions on infertility. Here's a question from Rick and Cheryl Gridry.
Of the three methods, which procedure do you think would be best suited for us? And because of the large cyst, should it be removed first through surgery?
She has cysts, right? And she said the doctor said That's why she can't get pregnant, and she should have surgery. Now,
This is just another myth. They want to do surgery on these cysts. It's very normal to have a cyst is like a bubble in the ovary that once had an egg in it but doesn't anymore. And so many women undergo surgery to remove these cysts. And under 40, they're benign, and they don't interfere with getting pregnant.
They don't interfere.
They don't. And all she needs to go through the in vitro procedure is with ultrasound, without any surgery, without any anesthesia. You put a little needle in, you drain the cyst, and that's it. And then she can start her drugs for stimulating her eggs. And she is being told maybe she has to go through surgery, maybe they can get eggs out of the cyst. It's all wrong. She should be scheduled for the regular procedure, and just before she starts, just stick a needle in it.
So what is going on that doctors don't know this? Why are you the only man in America that knows this?
Yeah, well, I'm not the only man in America.
You make such sense in your book.
You know, I just met on your show here just a minute ago a fellow whose wife is going through this, and they gave him the same baloney that she's got this cyst. They don't know what to do about it. Should they operate? I don't understand, because the bulk of scientific people working in this area know how to do it right.
Is there any time when a cyst should be operated on?
Well, if a woman is not trying to get pregnant and she's over 40 and it's a complex-looking cyst, then you have to worry about cancer, but that certainly wouldn't apply in a young woman trying to get pregnant.
Okay. Now, we have another videotape. This is from, let me just check my notes. This is from John and Tina Venuti.
In your professional opinion, knowing that we have accomplished fertilization, what the best avenue for us to pursue would be, if it would be GIFT because of the increased success rate, or due to the low fertilization rate, would in vitro be the way to go again, with the possibility of donor sperm, which we're not opposed to, but we feel that we can do it on our own, and that's our main goal.
Now, just explain to me again. In vitro means they take the man's sperm, the woman's ovary, they put it in the petri dish.
And they let it fertilize.
And then they take it and they replant in the woman.
Right.
GIFT is what? Very simple.
GIFT is they just take the sperm and the egg and they put it right in her fallopian tube right to start with. It doesn't have to fertilize in an incubator.
So they will get together in a fallopian tube.
Right, but here's the confusion.
And
okay.
ZIFT, what is ZIFT?
Yeah, okay, that's where the confusion
is.
In vitro fertilization classically means putting it in her uterus.
Right.
After you have an embryo. ZIFT means the same as in vitro fertilization, except you don't put it in the uterus, you put it in the fallopian tube, just like with GIFT. So here's the big difference. His sperm doesn't fertilize many of her eggs. Out of 30 eggs, he might get 2 or 3 embryos.
Right.
So GIFT would make no sense. You're not going to put 30 eggs in the fallopian tube with that sperm. You don't know what's going to happen. But if you can just get 2 or 3 to fertilize, you put those 2 or 3 in the fallopian tube, and that's called ZIFT. Now, to put them in the uterus, classic IVF, doesn't make sense because it's so hard to get those embryos because his sperm is so poor.
You're getting me very confused.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Maybe not them, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I've been talking now for 6 weeks. What's the easiest way to do it, doctor?
The easiest way is
I'm a woman. My husband's got a low sperm count. I've got 3 eggs left in me. What do we do?
The easiest way is to take the sperm and the eggs and put them in the fallopian tube. Highest pregnancy rate.
So then why doesn't everyone just do this?
Okay, well, his sperm stinks. I mean, it's...
Okay.
You know, they have to be exposed to 30 eggs to just get 2 or 3 embryos.
So he couldn't just do that?
No, but what he can do is a variation of it, which is superb. And that is, let them get together in the incubator, let them have their fun in the laboratory, and then 2 days later, put the good ones in the fallopian tube. It's very similar to GIFT.
So then why all these tragedies of people?
I think because we're embarking on this new era, and there are so many physicians that are still in the 80s, they're still in the old era.
But aren't there also, I know when I wanted to get pregnant with Melissa, I took the frog test. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
And so I had to kill a poor frog before we even got to the rabbit. I mean, I felt so guilty. But we ate the legs, so thank God. Well, no, that's conservation. What's the hamster test now? Is that a test that women should be taking?
No, this is hilarious in a way, and it was very popular for a whole decade, and people are still wasting thousands of dollars on it. If the doctor wonders whether the sperm can fertilize or not, he takes a hamster egg and puts it in that same petri dish with the husband's sperm to see if his sperm can fertilize the hamster egg.
That's science fiction.
Yeah, now...
You get a person that runs around inside a wheel.
Well, genetically, it never goes anywhere. You just got a sperm and a hamster egg, and, you know, God is too smart to allow anything like this to happen. But they actually see if the sperm gets in and decondenses, they say his sperm is fertile. Well, it was a wild idea. It's cost billions of dollars, and we know now that it has no relationship to whether or not his sperm can really fertilize a human egg.
So don't let your doctors tell you to do...
Don't do a hamster.
I wish we could clone you and put you into every major city in America. I think you're terrific. When we see you next, we're going to pick the two couples, right? We're going to meet the couples that we hope will be able to have babies because of your ideas. And the book, again, is called How to Get Pregnant with a New Technology. And I look forward to seeing you with the couples. Thank you, as always, so much, so much. Remember the week of May 13th, we'll be announcing the names of the two couples. We'll be working with Dr. Silber and the St. Luke's Hospital. We'll be right back.
Designing Women's main man, Meshack Taylor, Oscar nominee Jill Clayburgh, and the long-awaited announcement of the two couples that were going to help to have a baby. Isn't that great? It's all coming up, along with lots more. So stay right where you are, okay? Okay.
I'm very excited because today is the day we are going to announce the two couples that will be working with Dr. Sherman Silber and the St. Luke's Hospital in Missouri to conceive a child. It is very, very, very exciting. We've been looking for these people. We received over 800 videotapes. It was so difficult to decide on which two couples we should pick to help them try to have a baby. I mean, they sent, not only do they send in tapes, which are wonderful and moving, they send in all kinds, they send in baby rattles, you know, they send in, one tape came in a little diaper, a little pamper, and I know, another came in, it's just so sad, because everybody wants a child so badly, in a little baby, I don't know what this is. It's a shirt if the kid has no arms or legs, it's not a shirt. I don't know, a stupid baby thing. Anyhow, but the point is, we couldn't help them all. I think by watching the show and listening to you, Doctor, we did help them because your book on how to get pregnant with a new technology has been terrific. So we have two couples standing by backstage who have been chosen, but they don't know that they are the lucky ones that have been selected. They think they're just here to tell their stories about infertility, okay? So later on, we're going to bring them out, and we're going to tell them on the air that they're the ones that are going to now go to St. Luke's and work with Dr. Silber, and we think end up with babies. But first, let's greet again the doctor who will be working with these couples. Will you please welcome again Dr. Sherman Silber. How nice to have you on again, Doctor. And your book again is called How to Get Pregnant with a New Technology, which has been so helpful. Why did you pick these two couples? You went through so many tapes, and every tape to me was so meaningful, such a killer, you know.
I agree with you. It actually, to be honest, it has to be almost a random process because every story is a heartbreaker, and we're talking about 25% of couples that are infertile. So my whole view in this was just to realize that these two people are a focal point for everybody else in the country that has this problem, figuring out how they can solve their problem. It's not just the two couples. We will help them, but it's what they stand for.
Now, we talk about so many ways that people are trying to get pregnant and things that are stopping them. There was one thing we didn't talk about at all, and that was the procedure of reverse vasectomy, because a lot of men think they're not getting married anymore. They have vasectomies. What happens when they reverse it? Does that just change overnight and the man can have a baby again?
Well, you know, now that's really true. It used to, this is a pet subject of mine because we developed it about 16 years ago, and it used to be thought that it was absolutely irreversible. And after we developed a method to reconnect it with microsurgery, When the vasectomy was 15 or 20 years earlier, it was still thought to be irreversible because you'd never get any sperm after a good microsurgery. And what we know now, and this is very, very exciting because I was surprised at how many couples out there have that kind of problem, is that by bypassing all the pressure damage caused by vasectomy itself, hidden microscopic damage the surgeon normally wouldn't see, we can get to where the normal sperm are, right near the testicle itself. We can reconnect the sperm duct, the vas, at that level, and 90% of men, even if the vasectomy was 15, 20, 30 years ago, have normal sperm counts and can get their wives pregnant.
Which is great. Now,
it's really
we're going to
incredible.
bring out the two couples. We'll go to commercial first, right? And then we'll bring out the two couples. When we come back, we're going to meet them, the people that have been selected for our Gift of Life program. So don't go anywhere. Very exciting. Joining us now are Jim and Kathy Frost from Nashville, Tennessee, and Linda and Elmo James from Stone Mountain, Georgia, two of the couples who responded to our Gift of Life program. And welcome, and nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Silber, who is responsible really for all of this. And what made you decide to respond to a national ad?
Well, this was just what we were looking for. I mean, where else would you find an offer like that?
Yeah.
Right. But that was desperation.
What, how long have you been trying to have a baby?
About 10 years.
10 years. What about you?
About 7.
7. What, because we've been with Dr. Silber and talking so long, what were some of the things that you tried? What are some of the things that you tried, Elmo?
Oh, my.
What did they say to you?
Tried real hard.
Yeah, but what did the doctor make you go through?
First we had the hysterogram.
What's that, doctor?
It's the...
That's an x-ray of the uterus and the fallopian tubes, just to see if everything is open.
Yeah, okay.
And the laparoscopies came.
And the laparoscopies?
2 laparoscopies. And a lot of ovulation tests and temperature charting every day.
Yeah.
And then the 2 ectopics.
You had 2 ectopics?
Yes.
Now, does that make it harder for her? Because I had ectopic also.
That was it from the same side or from different sides?
Tube, and the second time the right tube removed.
So the other tube, your left tube, never had anything done to it. Okay. Right. Well, that may not make it harder. The issue here, Joan, is that I believe that we can get virtually anyone pregnant, and it's a very strong statement with the new technology, but it's really true. But it's easier if there's a fallopian tube.
And she has fallopian tube.
And she has 1 fallopian tube.
Now, what about you, Kathy? What are some of the things that you two went through?
Well, I've had the surgery, the laparoscopy, let's see, many drugs. Trying to get rid of the endometriosis, which is what I have. An endometrial biopsy. Just.
Have you ever just thought that of quitting, of just saying that's it?
No.
Never.
No.
What about you?
We can't quit now. It's as a matter of fact, our doctor has told us that she needs to do another operation on the other tube. Said I think it's clogged or it's closing or something, and they need to go in and clear it out.
Clear it out. What has your doctors told you?
Well, I'm fine. You know, my tubes are good. Everything should be able to work as long as we can get rid of the endometriosis or work with ovulation. My doctor says that people with endometriosis ovulate, they're just not sure that they ovulate normally.
So, because we discussed all this, doctor.
Right.
Let me ask you. When I wanted Melissa, my daughter, and I thought I had a hard time conceiving, that's why one of the reasons we had this on, I remember sitting somewhere and a woman walked in with a baby, and I was so angry because I wanted a baby, so I was so jealous. I wanted a child so much. Do you go through that, or is it just me being shallow?
Oh yes, I'd like to say that one.
Yeah, do you? Yeah.
She get angry sometime. My sister had a baby last year, and she wouldn't go to the and she wouldn't go to the hospital with me to see her because of the baby.
You get so What about you?
It's hard. It's hard. You know, I'm glad for the people and happy for them, but still it's hard to, you know, get close to the baby and ooh and ah like you're supposed to.
Yeah, yeah. Are you from a large family?
Yes. I'm one of 5 children. Jim's one of 4. And they all have children.
And they all have children.
We've got the extended family all right there living in Middle Tennessee.
And they keep saying those lies like, well, your uncle and aunt, and they're just as close. We've heard that one before.
Yeah.
What about you? Large families?
Oh, I'm from a very large family. It was 8 children in the family. Well, finally 8.
Yeah.
And on my father's side, it was 9 boys and 5 girls in their family.
That's large.
So I'm from a long line.
There are 3 of us, just 3 of us.
What are your ages? What is your
I'm
age?
32.
32.
I'm 29.
29. So that's good ages, right, doctor?
I think that's very good. When they begin to hit age 40 or age 38, then the eggs are harder to fertilize, and in fact, they might run out of eggs, and you might need to go to donor eggs. But I think they're young enough, we should be able to get very good eggs.
What about pressure from your families? Do you still have it? Do you go, why aren't you two having a baby, or have they stopped that already? How long are you married?
We've been married 10 years.
Yeah, so they're still saying that to you?
Well, it's...
Sometimes, not as much anymore because they understand that, there's something wrong with me. But occasionally, sometimes someone will, say something and then ask me about my career. Is it your career? You should put, weight.
Yeah.
It surprises me how many people don't understand that things just don't always... They assume that if you don't have kids, you don't want kids, and then they want to know, well, why don't you want kids?
Yeah.
And they don't understand that it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, and I often have to tell every stranger.
We don't tell people.
What do you say when they say, oh, come on, why aren't you having kids?
We make up excuses like we're not ready, or there are enough kids in the family, or it's not time.
Yeah.
And then behind closed doors, we just kind of cry about it.
I think it was hardest just after we got married. Everyone asked, well, so when does the child come?
Yeah.
So,
And years go by.
How much have you spent about trying to have a baby?
since the beginning, I guess about $20,000.
Fortune.
Probably between 7,000 and 8,000.
7 and 8,000. What about adoption? Have you thought about that?
We were going to adopt a child last year. We had learned about a couple, a young lady in another part of our state who had become pregnant. She wanted to give the child up for adoption, and we went through several months of sort of trying to, woo her into picking us as the couple that would adopt her child, and she finally did, and didn't make her decision until just, I think, like a week or two before delivery. And we were
be the one. She wanted us.
Right.
Real excited, and got the call on the birth and everything, and made plans to go pick the child up. And then once she got the child and held it, and in the room there, she could not let it go. Well, one day she was going to, the next day she couldn't, and the next day.
You've been through so much.
It was awful.
Awful. What about you? Adoption yet?
We started it, and the people sent us thousands of questions to answer. And one of the questions was, will adopting a child replace your desire to have your own child? And we stopped right there because it seemed very unfair for us to bring a child into the family knowing how much we wanted our own.
Well, you're just, just here to talk about it, and we thank you for coming. But they're so nice. Don't you think we should let them be the winners?
Absolutely.
And there's your doctor.
You didn't tell me before because that's exciting.
You can take her home. You can do whatever you want. And you're it. We knew it all the time. So I just hope it works out. But I think you're in the hands of the... Look at me, I'm crying. You're in the hands of the best doctor, I think, in America when it comes to this. And he's looked at all the tapes, and he thinks that both of you couples have a terrific shot. Right, doctor?
I think there's no question about it. With new technology, you should be able to get pregnant.
So we're coming back to New York again.
We're coming back to St. Louis. We'll be right back in a moment. Jim and Kathy Frost and Linda and Elmo James and Dr. Sherman Silber, and they are going to go with Dr. Silber and try to have babies, which is so wonderful. What are we going to do now? What's the plan here?
Well, I'm going to talk to them in detail and look at their x-rays and find out just what the structure of their fallopian tubes and uterus is, and decide whether to go through gift, ZIFT, or in vitro fertilization.
I
which
know
we
them all
talked,
now.
You know about all that. And we're going to start as soon as we can, and I believe that you're going to be following that really
Yes, we're going to be
with great
following
interest.
it right down till you both come back with little bundles here. And we have to thank also Paul Wunderlich. I have to read this, but it's worth reading. He is the head of St. Luke's Hospital in Missouri, and he wanted us to convey his best wishes to both of you. And he wants you to know the hospital is very happy to share in the opportunity that they can help you through this as much as they can. And all medical bills will be picked up by the hospital and by this very generous doctor here, Dr. Jenner. So, not nice? Have a very happy weekend. And I hope next time we see you, you'll be vomiting, both of you. And I'll miss seeing you so much, Doctor. And have a very happy weekend. Thank you all so much. We'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
Coming up, Jacqueline Bissett, Days of Our Lives star Stephen Nichols, people who model special parts of their bodies, and lots more. It's all coming right up, so stay right where you are, okay? Okay.
We're back. We are talking with Stephen Nichols from the movie Soap Dish and formerly Days of Our Lives. And your wife is how many months pregnant?
6 months.
Lisa, that's nice.
Yeah.
And this is her first, but your third baby.
That's right.
Well, should we bring her out? We can.
Oh, please.
Lisa, come on out.
Watch the steps, honey.
You barely look, the dresses nowadays are great because you barely look, you know.
Oh, no. Stand up, stand up.
He's going to make me show
You
up.
got to show, really. See?
All right, there it is.
Check that out, huh?
Do you know if it's going to be a boy or a girl?
Well, we think it's a boy. We're pretty sure.
Yeah. What do you think? Vanity Fair has a cover out this month that shows Demi Moore totally naked and 9 months pregnant.
Oh.
And I passed the CBS newsstand the other day. Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, somebody's going to hand it to me. And here, can we get a close-up of this? And there was a man screaming at the newsstand saying, this shouldn't be, this shouldn't be. Do you think that's good or bad?
I think it's a beautiful picture. Honey, take your clothes off.
What do you think? Do you think that's right or wrong or?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have the courage to do that, but I think it's a beautiful picture.
I think it's nice to celebrate it. You know, so
Yeah.
many women, especially actresses, are, you know, they get so self-conscious if they gain a little weight, and, you know, and being pregnant is a beautiful thing. I
Oh, she's
take pictures
pregnant.
of her every week.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know she was
Oh, you
pregnant.
didn't get that? Oh, Joan. Yeah.
I just thought.
Sorry, yeah, she's
I thought
pregnant
this
then.
was the diet issue. Oh,
Get out of here.
Are you doing anything for the stretch marks? You know, like putting lots of junk on your tummy and all that?
Cocoa butter, vitamin E oil,
Yeah.
Almond oil,
Too much.
everything. But
It's
you
too
know,
much.
there's,
Yeah.
She's laying there getting that oil on herself.
Yeah, just to stretch it.
All these things.
Were you worried, because you had a vasectomy,
Yes, I did.
right? So did you have to have, obviously you had it reversed.
Yes, I did.
Were you worried?
Not until I saw the video they showed me in the office.
Mm.
I didn't need to see that.
Were
For
you?
those watching, don't watch a video of the operation before you have it.
Yeah, well, anyone that watches any operation before they have it is a fool. I mean,
Yeah, you don't need to see that. You're not looking anyway when they do it.
Exactly. I hope your eyes are shut.
Yeah.
What about you? What if you couldn't have had children? Would it have made a huge difference?
I don't know. I never really wanted to have children, and then I hit a certain age, and all of a sudden I wanted to have a baby really bad.
Yes, that's what happened to me.
So I waited 6 months to see if the feeling passed, you know, just in case it was just a hormonal thing or something like that. And then when it didn't, I came to Stephen and I said, you know, I want to have a baby. And he just, his mouth kind of dropped open. He didn't say anything for about a whole minute. And then he got real excited.
Are you going to be there for the birth?
Oh, yeah, we're going to have it at home like the other two.
You had your other two at home?
Yes, in fact, I caught my son myself because the midwife didn't make it in time. Yeah. So both kids were born at home.
What about the wife? Was that the first wife or the second wife?
The second wife.
That was the second wife. Was she, when the midwife didn't make it on time,
Yeah.
she must have been really thrilled.
Oh, she was really thrilled. She was a salty old dog. I think she must have been just hungover or something, you know. They woke her up. She lived too far away, you know, and the
Oh, the
labor was
midwife.
quick.
I thought you meant your wife.
No, my wife, yes.
Well,
She was
that's
well, you know how
terrible thing
women
to
are
say
when
about an
they're in
ex-wife. She was a salty old dog.
Salty old dog, yeah. She was cussing and swigging and ready to have that kid.
And you're going to have this at home, too? Mm-hmm. But yeah, we had a few months ago a gentleman named Dr. Silber who was a expert on infertility with couples, and we had two couples that wanted desperately to have babies, and we sent them out to St. Louis, and we have them on the phone. I'm just curious to see. Doctor, are you on, Dr. Silber?
I'm on here, Joan.
Oh, here you are.
I'm glad to talk to you.
Are you at St. Luke's in Missouri, or somebody told me that you were in a airport?
Believe it or not, I'm in the London Heathrow Airport at British Air, and they were very nice to allow this connection so I could talk to you on the air right now.
Oh, so you're in London. Where are you going?
I'm on the way to Africa with my son to take a father-son bonding type journey.
Oh, you're going to have to do that with your kids.
It's Sherm the Sperm. How you doing? That was his nickname back at the hospital.
Dr. Silber, or Sherm the Sperm, what's going on with our two couples?
Well, we are really excited. Kathy Frost, one of the couples, is already pregnant. Her very first trip to St. Louis, her first cycle of gift, she got pregnant, and she can hardly believe it, and her doctors in Nashville are very, very excited. They can hardly believe it.
And what about our second couple?
And the second couple we're still waiting to hear from, and both of the couples turned out to have more difficult problems than we thought just from the videotapes, but I believe we've solved them, and for sure we know one of them is pregnant already. So it sort of demonstrates that this new technology works very, very quickly, and we've got one happy patient already, and the other one we're just waiting to hear from.
We had Roseanne Barr on with Tom Arnold, her husband, right? And
I heard about that.
Yeah, we're sending her to you, too, but please don't charge us. That's great publicity for you. Now, you went to Dr. Silber?
I certainly
Patch?
did. Yeah.
He was really your doctor?
Yes, he laid open on the table and cut them up, and that's why we have this little baby here.
So he put you back together?
Yes, he did. He opened me up and put me back together.
Doctor, how much did you charge him? Is this trip on him?
I want to tell you, I'm going to just put a plug in for Steve Nichols and Lisa. I've operated and taken care of many celebrities, and I've never met a more genuine, sensitive person. I'm just going to say that over the air. I just think he's a fantastic artist and a real good person, and I enjoy taking care of that couple a lot.
What are the ratio of a man having a vasectomy put back?
Well, you know, if the operation is done properly with the kind of microsurgery you need to bypass all the damage caused by the vasectomy, we have over a 90%, close to a 95% success rate, even if the vasectomy was 20 or 30 years ago.
How long was yours?
Mine was 10 years old, and
10
he's
years
the
old.
best.
Oh, I think so, too.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful time in Africa. Don't take any wooden Petri dishes. And we'll see you back here very soon. Thank you, Dr. Silber. Have a very good time.
Have a good trip.
Bring me back a mask. And it's just, well, don't you think he should?
Oh, I think so. You've given him enough plugs.
No, well, he's been wonderful.
Yeah, he's great.
Would you have adopted if you couldn't have had a child?
Well,
did you want it that much?
Well, I have my two stepchildren who I love very much, so I felt like I'd had that kind of parenting experience of raising someone else's children, and but I did want to experience having a child of my own as well.
Are you a good father, do you think?
I'm the best I can be.
Yeah. Did you come from a functioning family where you had a role model? No.
No. I think that's why I'm a better father than I maybe would have been if I had come from a normal family. I don't know. I feel that the things that I experienced as a child, I don't want my children to experience. I'm very careful about the attention and the love that I give them, that everything that I do, whether it's discipline or something fun, there's love underneath everything.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing, and a lot of attention.
Have you made peace? Are your parents alive? Or?
Well, my father, I'm not really sure where he is. I met him for the first time when I was 24 years old. I looked him up, and I'd never seen a picture or anything of him. And I have not been in touch with him since my daughter, who's now 13, was in the womb.
And
so I don't know where he is.
And you don't care? At one point,
well,
at one point you had to say, yeah.
I was curious at one point, but, you know, the problem was he was really just a biological father. He was not really there as a father, and I tried very hard to help him when I did meet him, and he just had some serious problems, and I couldn't.
Because, boy, you're so caring. I hope you had the best baby. I love that you went to Dr. Silber. I think that's just cool.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I hope the kid gets your face, but your feet. No question about it. And thank you both so much. And we will be back with 3 models who are known for their beautiful body parts. Coming up, Robin Leach, the lowdown on the summer's hottest celebrity parties, and sexy new singing star Francesca Begay, plus lots more. So forget about those errands and stay right where you are, okay? Okay.
From New York, Joan Rivers.
You've forgotten, last May we announced the 2 couples that would be working with Dr. Sherman Silber from the St. Luke's Hospital in Missouri. You can see them here meeting the staff, getting started, and going through the various fertility procedures at the hospital, meeting the doctors, getting results. Oh, see that there on the screen? Okay. So far, each couple has been poked and prodded and pinched in hopes of conceiving a child. Now we're going to find out where we stand. Will you please welcome back Linda and Elmo James, and Kathy and Jim Frost, and our resident expert, Dr. Sherman Silber, author of How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology. Okay, and tell me what's going on. 2 couples, where do we start? Let's start with you 2 first. You went there and?
And we had IVF.
Which is what?
Which is in vitro fertilization.
Okay.
Okay.
And one time you did it.
Right. When I got there, Dr. Silber actually found I had more problems than were on my video that I actually sent it in the beginning.
Thank God we didn't know ahead of time. You wouldn't have been chosen.
Right.
That's very lucky.
So what really amazed me was the fact that I never knew what my problem was before, and immediately he found out what the problems were.
So you wasted how many years?
About 10.
Quite a few in there,
A lot of years.
Yeah.
And you've already done the procedure once.
Right.
And it didn't take.
Right.
And they said you were very depressed.
Yeah.
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 But you should know that they're going to do it again.
Right.
And again. You may end up living in St. Louis for the next You may end up being the next Mrs. S. But you do, because for a while you said you wouldn't want to go back.
Well, it's the fact that it's a lot of work, actually.
Yeah.
No one should think it's easy.
What's the work?
You have to be everywhere. You know, the hospital staff is wonderful, and you get there, and they poke you and prod you, like you say, and you come home, and you feel like you're being poked and prodded all day. And once you get, and then after the procedure, there's a 2-week wait, and that really kills you. The anxiety, you know.
Yeah.
If you belch, you think, oh, I blew it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stress. It really is. And after it was over and I found out that I wasn't pregnant, I was depressed.
Of course, it's such an excitement and it's such a letdown.
Yeah.
But I think the next time maybe, because you go into it with more negative feelings.
Well, I go into it knowing that we did everything that we possibly could, and there's no reason why it didn't work. That belch didn't cause it not to work, or anything Dr. Silber and the staff didn't cause it not to work. It's just, with IVF, it takes more than one time.
Okay.
And if you really want something, you keep doing it.
Because I expect you to be on the show with the baby. That's going to be the Christmas special. So you have to hurry. Right? Oh, well, we could put a bow around her stomach. So we can work it that way. But you must keep going. I don't want to hear no. I'm very upset when they tell me that. Now, tell me about you 2.
Well, we have good news.
Yeah.
We had the gift surgery, and it was successful. And I'm about 6 weeks pregnant now.
That's great.
case you're nauseous, they gave us something. And they also showed us a picture of the baby, and we'll talk more about what each, again, procedure was, and Dr. Silber, again, what women out there can do. So we'll be back in a moment, and then we'll take a look at the picture of the baby. All right? Isn't that great? Talking with Linda Elmo James and Kathy and Jim Frost, and our two couples who were selected for the Gift of Life program, and Dr. Sherman Silber, of how to get pregnant with the new technology. Now, after this baby, if she wants another baby, which they probably will, because people become, smart. They say, this is nice, let's have another. Will that do the same way again?
Well,
or it become easier?
Yeah, they can have any number of babies they want, but we found about 20% of women like you, Kathy, will get pregnant on your own after you've had a successful pregnancy with this technology. We don't know why, but if you don't get pregnant within a reasonable period of time with your second baby, we'll just do it again. And the odds are 50% you'll get pregnant in the first try.
And this is what happened with her.
Exactly. The pregnancy rate is very high with the GIFT procedure. With in vitro fertilization, it's a little lower. When Elmo and Linda came, we found out their tubes were clobbered. We found out she had very, very little ovary tissue. So she had bigger problems than we anticipated, but not insurmountable problems. And so we'll be able to work with her and get her pregnant eventually.
Does attitude mean anything? Because we all hear all these old wives' tales. You know those things? If the mother is happy during pregnancy, the child... I believe none of it, but I sang the whole time to my stomach. I talked to Melissa. I did everything. Is attitude...
Well, I think attitude is very important. It's medically controversial, but what happened here is these two couples went through it together, and they were very supportive of each other. And Linda, who did not get pregnant the first time, I know, became a very close friend with Kathy and was very supportive. And I have to feel that that was a very important part of the whole process.
And much more difficult, I think, for you, that the other one, I mean...
Well,
you're thrilled with someone, but
I don't like her anymore. No.
Yeah. But you've got to say, it's not there. Yeah. At what point, and I don't mean them, because you've already said that there's, terrific chance of it. What point would you say to a couple, this is silly?
It depends on their attitude. Even if a woman is like 45 and has no ovary or eggs left, if she's interested in donor eggs, you can get pregnant when you're 60. I mean, there is no point to say no unless the couple decides they just don't want to go through it. But with this technology, if you're very open-minded and really want a baby, anybody can have one.
Anybody can have one. Just keep that in mind. Yeah. We'll talk to each other while you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because she's not going to be there anymore. Now, are you going to go home? You go home now and you just go to your own doctor? It's a totally normal pregnancy now.
Completely normal pregnancy. That ultrasound looks beautiful. Heartbeat looks fabulous.
And how old is the baby here?
About 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Isn't that amazing?
Her doctors are pretty excited, aren't they?
And are you nauseous and all the stuff?
A little bit. I haven't thrown up or anything yet, but I've been kind of queasy feeling.
Good. Make sure you throw up. It's a pleasure. You'll be so happy. I thank you. I'm so happy for all of you. We'll keep in touch, so if you're feeling lousy and depressed, we'll talk on the phone. I'll scream at you, all right? I'll be your old Jewish mother, all right? And thank you so much. Congratulations. I'll be saying that to you very soon. And, Doctor, the book, even I read it. Thank you so much, and we will be right back. Couple. In case you've forgotten, last May we announced the two couples that would be working with our fertility expert and St. Luke's Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri's doctor to conceive a child, right? And after a few months, one of them got pregnant, ha ha ha. So we thought this would be a great time for an update, and we have our couple to get a few tips from them and from our celebrity mothers, Lisa and Alice. Also joining me now is Dr. Sherman Silber, the man responsible for this happy event. He's also the author of How to Get Pregnant with the New Technology, which is now in paperback. And our couple, Jim and Kathy Frost. How nice to see you. All right. What month? 6. Are you excited or nervous? Or?
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And nervous, too.
And nervous. Are you worried whether you'll go to full term, or you just...
I was at first.
Yeah.
For a long time, I didn't even really believe I was pregnant. I mean, you know, they would tell me, I saw the ultrasounds, but it just didn't sink in because, you know, we had tried so long and wanted it for so long. But now, you know, it's easier. It's coming. You know, I'm finally believing it.
Now, do you keep in touch with Dr. Silber? Do you go to St. Louis, or how do you work this?
No, she can have her obstetric care locally because it's just a normal pregnancy.
now it's
once you're pregnant, it's a normal pregnancy.
So in other words, you don't have to give the doctor special instructions?
No.
Or like that. What about the second baby, doctor? Can they have a second baby? How did you have yours? Gift, which is?
The gift procedure, they had been through all kinds of other things that were conventional and didn't work. Gift is so simple. We just took Kathy's sperm and...
Kathy's sperm.
Eggs. Jim's sperm. I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's a different show. Go ahead.
I apologize. I don't know what kind of a slip that is. We took the sperm and the eggs from Jim and Kathy and put them together in the fallopian tube. I mean, it's very, very simple.
Right.
And she got pregnant right away the first time. And I think she's expressing what she told me. She really, when she came, she had a hard time believing this was really going to work or that it was going to be that high a success rate. And when you were pregnant, I heard a tone of disbelief in your voice. Even in October, I think you had a hard time believing it.
What is it going to be?
Well, it's going to be a boy.
A boy. That's great. That's great. And you want to have another one?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Do they do the same way? Or, or just clear it up for the rest of the pregnancy?
You know, no, the chances are about 15% she might get pregnant on her own. But if she doesn't, we can do the same thing over again. And in the category that they're in, there's a 55% chance every time we do the gift procedure that she'll get pregnant.
Right.
So if she's determined she'll get pregnant again and it shouldn't be a problem.
Now, what about our other couple? They were Linda and Elmo James, right?
Right. Now, you know, they're a wonderful couple, and...
she was so discouraged when she was here.
Luckily, with this technology now, there's always a good story, really. Yeah. It could be very sad. We found out the previous surgery that she had really destroyed her ovarian tissue. And it was a much, much bigger difficulty than we had thought when we first saw her on the show. We didn't have that information, but when we evaluated her, that was the problem. But I can tell you the fastest growing field of excitement in this whole area now is donor eggs. It's becoming very popular, and remember I always used to say, hurry up and try to get pregnant now before you reach 35 or 40, or because you get less fertile.
Sure. You end up with 2 eggs.
Right.
You know, you got to hurry. Yeah.
And they're less fertilizable. Yeah. It's very hard to get pregnant. Now, what women are doing, if their eggs don't fertilize because they're too old, or if you just can't get any eggs, donor eggs is becoming the most popular growing area in the field of infertility, because women and their husbands are very excited about it. They accept it and they love the idea. So we can get women pregnant at any age.
So are they trying to do that?
That's what's going to happen, and I think it's going to be a very happy story, but it could have been a really sad story.
Yeah. What about you two? Did you ever have trouble getting pregnant? Either time?
No.
Just the opposite, right?
Yeah. This time took me longer than I had thought it would. It took me about 7 months.
To get pregnant? Mm-hmm. You think, why is that, doctor? Is it because they're so intent on becoming pregnant?
Well, there's several factors going on. One of the most important factor is just getting older. No offense, but you know, you can't stop an 18-year-old girl from getting pregnant. If she has it at the wrong time of month, she has sex at the wrong time of the month, in the backseat of a car with the wrong technique, she'll get pregnant.
Yeah.
And there's a less than a 1% risk of infertility. But you know, you get up to your 20s, and even in your mid-20s, there's a 15% chance of infertility. In your mid-30s, it's 25%. So as you get older, it may take longer to get pregnant. It's not necessarily stress. It's just aging, if you will.
Well, that's what you could say it. Aging, you can just say it.
You know, 18.
Nobody gets upset.
At 18.
Doctor. What are you going to name the babies? We haven't even asked that.
Probably David and Wilson for the middle name after my father.
Oh, I got scared that you could say twins.
No, it's just
Is there a higher percentage of twin births when they do this kind of a
most
gift?
couples are excited about that. There's about a 25% chance of twins. And they're very excited about it. It's not a complication.
Oh, I think it's great.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful.
But they had a singleton, so they're going to have to just go for it again.
And what are your 2 names?
Troy Stephen, after our matchmaker, a guy very good friends with both of us, and passed away before he knew that it worked. And so we're going to name the baby Troy, and Stephen after my husband. Julia Elizabeth.
That's very pretty. We'll be back with more. All right, stay with us. Back in a moment. be signing my book, Still Talking, December 18th in Washington, D.C. at 12 noon at B. Dalton on K Street, and December 20th in Boston at 11:30 at, I believe it's pronounced Laureates and Copley Plaza. So please come, but buy a book. And, or come and don't buy a book. I'll be happy to see you. We are back talking about just pregnancy in general. Any cravings? I never went through any of that. Do you have special cravings or special dislikes suddenly?
Well, I'm kind of reverting back to my childhood. You know, forever I've, you know, eaten baked chicken and whatever, salads, but now I want greasy hamburger and fries.
And you just have it, right?
Yeah.
What about you?
The first time around, I got really ill at the thought of sushi, and I had loved it, and I've never gone back to it. I just don't want it anymore. And this time I have an aversion, unfortunately, to vegetables.
I do too.
Just can't stand the thought of it.
And I'm a vegetarian. So it was a bit difficult.
So I've had to like really camouflage with marinara sauce and cheese to force them down.
What are you doing if you're a vegetarian
Well,
and vegetables make you nauseous?
Now I'm fine, but at the beginning, it's just the sight of broccoli, I'd run screaming from the room. I just couldn't bear it.
So did you go back to eat chicken and stuff?
Well, I do eat, yeah, I'm eating chicken and fish. I don't eat red meat, I should say.
What about mood? Do you find, because all those hormones are running around in your body, do you find that you're moody? Do you cry and laugh? And
No, I haven't noticed that really more than usual.
what about you?
Bitch on wheels.
Bitch on
You know, I don't like to admit it because I think, you know, oh, I'm doing so great, and yeah, I'm kind of up and down.
What about you?
I experienced that after the birth. I just would sob. After Anna was born, I just was just a wreck. So I'm waiting. I'm going to hold off again and do it then.
Now,
on my own time.
We are a very poor show, as you know, as you've heard me say very often, Doctor, when you beg me to buy you something. But we went to Cartier, and we got 3 baby gifts. They were nice enough to give them to us. Isn't that nice? So they're all similar, so it doesn't matter who gets what. Just pick oh, the names are on there. Okay, this is a Kathy. Okay, but they're all equally lovely. And here are 3 scissors to uncut as you wish. And I hope these are first. We want the scissors back because we're a poor show. And you as the father, even though it's a little late, can have the doctor's book, How to Get Pregnant with a New Technology. And doctor, it's always a pleasure to see you, and thank you very much for being here. And I wish you, let me know what you all had, okay? And you've got to come back with the baby, all right? And we're going to be back in a moment with a lot more gossip, 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 so please stay tuned. We've been talking about adoption lies. We shouldn't lose sight of adoption hope. We have everybody back here to find out exactly what's going on. First of all, Debbie, happy ending to you because
I did adopt, and finally. I have a wonderful 2-year-old daughter right now, and would look forward to adopting another child.
Right. So you have that's great. You weren't frightened about adoption.
Oh, I was scared to death, but the truth is that most adoptions do work out.
Okay.
And I look forward to my daughter meeting her birth family.
Okay. What about you now?
One on the State Court of Appeals.
Okay, so that's good for you, Dad, right?
And the adoptive parents have filed a petition to the State Supreme Court, and I'm waiting for an answer from them.
Okay. So that's, again, positive for you.
Well, it will be if they refuse to hear the case.
Okay, okay, right. So let's see what happens
right.
There. And the 2 of you now, you're just...
Well, we would love to adopt, but unfortunately for financial reasons, it's a little hard. So right now we're pursuing fertility.
Are you having
treatments.
A hard time getting pregnant?
Yes.
Do you know what it's about? Obviously,
we're at the step of in vitro fertilization now.
Well, we have our own in vitro specialist who just hangs around here with petri dishes and just looks for sperm and eggs and sings to them. He's wonderful. He's Dr. Sherman Silber. He's been on before. We got one of our people pregnant. So we thought we'd bring him on, and he and his, what's the name of his hospital? Doctors, come on out. St. Luke's Hospital, and St. Louis is going to take care of you, so we'll see you back. Hello, doctors.
to see you, John. It's great to see you.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Okay. Dr. Silber's book is called How to Get Pregnant with a New Technology, and last year they have a very healthy, happy baby due to you.
And I got a beautiful picture of you together with them and their
With
baby.
the baby.
Mhm.
So we thought maybe this year we'd give you now the Nielsen's and you can go to work on them. All right? And Dr. Silber's going to do it for free, right?
Absolutely.
Luke's is going to pick up the hospital costs.
Absolutely. St. Luke's has agreed to pay for all the hospital costs, and there'll be no physician's fee.
So is that great?
That's
so
fantastic.
anybody, it's another method, but you've got to come back, and you've got to bring the baby, and I get the baby when it's 6. That's we'll split it, all right? So I thank you very much. How are you, by the way?
I'm really well, Joan, and I just want to say that what you're doing and making the public aware of these problems has had a tremendous impact. I know in my field I've seen that since you started doing this type of work, there's been much more awareness of technologically how we can help couples that thought there was no help before it.
Isn't it wonderful that you can be in a field that you make a great living and you do great things? Does it make you very happy?
I was just telling my wife the other night who came with
Wife? You didn't tell me there was a wife. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's time you knew.
Yes.
But it was just, I got a call at the hotel room from a couple that just had to communicate on a problem, and I just said, you know, I really am excited about what I'm doing. Not that we don't have failures, we certainly do, but it really is true that if a couple is persistent, and if the financial burden is not there, that's the biggie, we can get almost everyone pregnant with this technology.
So let's see what happens, okay? All right, and we'll be right back in a moment, so stay tuned. Good.